Hey and welcome, I'm Hammeh and today we're going to be looking at the top 10 new lore facts that we discover in Overwatch Retribution's new interactions. Now like Uprising, Overwatch Retribution has interactions between characters. The more you play, perhaps the more you win or the more you switch between characters, I'm not quite sure just yet, you get more and different conversations between all the heroes all the way throughout the game. From Masquerade to Carnivale, Italian accents or bad ones to Talon recruitment choices, and poor band cover stories to Genji's cybernetics. It's fun, flavourful, and there's straight up canon lore examples too, so we learn a lot of new stuff about Overwatch story. I'm getting them all together for a compilation video, but in the meantime, here's my top 10 lore examples so far. Do let me know your favourites in the comments and any speculation you may have or questions about Overwatch's lore rising from this event. Subscribe, like, and let me know your comment and thought. Your point or question could feature in my upcoming lore discussion video. At number 10, interactions tell us the feelings of Reyes' strike team towards his actions in the events of Retribution. Now obviously we know that McCree is not happy at his actions, changing from the plan. He kind of sees them as being just assassins now, but it's interesting how Moira and Genji actually support Reyes' choice.
You did what needed to be done, Gabriel. Don't apologize.
I never have, and I don't intend to start now. Someone has to be the one to get things done.
Moira believes that Reyes did what had to be done. It kind of fits with her worldview and her pragmatic approach to things, it seems, whereas Genji believes that Reyes chose an expedient solution.
I believe you found an expedient solution, Commander.
Hear that? The ninja agrees with my decision.
You be sure to call him as a character witness then.
And he also, in a separate line, has no remorse for the fate of criminals.
I feel no remorse for the fate of these criminals.
At least someone's on my side.
Now in particular I find Genji's viewpoint pretty interesting because, remember, he's from a criminal family, the Shimada clan. Genji never really apparently wanted to be involved in his family's criminal activities, but certainly Hanzo's actions at the behest of the clan elders in trying to get him into line and join the family business had some fairly marked results that we'll come back to regarding Genji's cybernetics later in this video. Number 9, we get a little bit more character flavour to Moira. She's a fan of Masquerade and art. Now, she says that she's going to have the perfect costume, to which Reyes is a little bit surprised.
A pity we'll miss the masquerade. I have the perfect costume.
Didn't think that would be your scene.
There's a lot of things you don't know about me.
Actually, quite a lot of the characters in this mission are interested in taking part in the Carnivale celebration in Venice, and we also hear about Moira's interest in art.
You call this art? A child could have made it.
Never had the eye for it, anyway.
Philistines.
And I do like her lines to the wider strike team and to McCree especially when she talks about them all needing a bit more culture or their attitude when they rush through the art gallery.
You could all do with a little culture. The cowboy especially.
I'm plenty cultured. Have you ever been to the Cave of Mystery? Didn't think so.
McCree, of course, referring to the Cave of Mystery on Route 66, the home of the Deadlock Gang, and where he spent a good amount of his time running with that gang when younger. I don't think that's going to be Moira's cultural cup of tea, shall we say. At number 8, we get a bit more Talon background. Now, alongside the intro and ending cinematics to this mission, we see a little bit more as to what's going on with Talon. Reyes, in a description to his team, talks a bit about who's going to take over from Antonio, and this kind of syncs up with what we've seen in the cinematics.
Who was Antonio?
He's an arms dealer with some other interests. More and less legitimate.
Did Antonio have any associates?
There's the one who will probably take over for him, Viali. Don't know too much about him. Then Doomfist and Numbani, and an Omnic who runs a casino in Monaco. Maximilian or something.
Maximilian, the money-spinning Omnic, of course, we see later in the Masquerade comic as someone who Doomfist is going to go and get a little cash off, but it's also interesting that he actually owns that casino, or at the time of the events of Retribution, he owned the casino, perhaps, that we see in the events of Masquerade. At number 7, just generally Moira's general sass with the entire team. I love the way that she kind of calls out McCree on stating the obvious here.
What's keeping our ride? We can't wait forever.
Something tells me the army of bad guys' conversion in our position isn't helping.
McCree's instincts are, as ever, unimpeachable.
She also has a little bit of a comment in terms of the dropship turning up, and she's generally not happy with a lot of aspects of the mission, including the intelligence that they've gathered.
No sign of rescue. Does nothing run on time here?
I wasn't intending to fly into the middle of a war zone. You're gonna have to sit tight until I get there.
Unbelievable. I wouldn't describe this as light resistance. Quality intelligence we've received.
It makes no difference to me.
How droll.
You just get the feeling with Moira that she always is looking to see how things can be improved, and certainly this mission, if she had her way, would be run quite a bit differently, I think. Number 6, well, Reyes talking about Hanzo and whether he'd make a good Blackwatch recruit.
You know, your brother would have made a good agent. Touchy subject.
I think we can probably understand why Genji would not want to necessarily be fighting alongside his brother at this point in time, given that he was the one who was pretty much the cause of all of Genji's current cybernetics. At number 5, McCree has got some work to do on his Italian accent, and Moira is only too happy to pull him up on this one.
McCree, we need to talk about your Italian accent.
Well, I watched a bunch of old spaghetti westerns. I thought it was pretty good. Buonasera, signora. Can I get you something to drink?
Please never do that again.
And in terms of other cool flavour, at number 4, there seems to be a couple of different ways that Blackwatch were getting their intel or approaching this mission initially. Now there's a great conversation between Reyes and McCree about him disguising himself as a waiter.
This mess was all worth it to see McCree trying to pass himself off as a waiter.
I thought I did just fine.
You got fired from your cover job, Jesse.
Lady was being rude. She had it coming.
Although perhaps with McCree's Italian accent or lack of, as shown in the last example, that plan maybe didn't work. There was also another plan where maybe they would have just posed as a band. But McCree thinks he's seen a little problem with that as well.
I still think we should have gone with the original plan of disguising ourselves as the band.
Do you even play an instrument, boss?
Not well.
Details.
At number 3, the fact that Talon has actually tried to recruit multiple members or indeed generations of the Shimada family. So Genji reveals in a little interaction with Reyes that actually Talon tried to recruit their dad, Sohiro Shimada, to the cause.
Talon once tried to recruit my father.
He didn't take them up on their offer?
He did not find them to his liking. Their aims did not coincide with his own.
Now, it's kind of interesting historically, this was 80 years ago, fast forward to the present day or so, and remember that Hanzo has 2 different interactions with members of Talon who are still trying to recruit him. Widow mentions that Talon could restore his family's empire, Hanzo is not sure of the cost, and Doomfist also tries to recruit Hanzo too, but he's not entirely sure that it'll be to his benefit. Perhaps Hanzo remembers his father's wishes or his father's angle on this too. It's interesting that the Shimada clan is known perhaps for dealing in arms, illegal substances, and perhaps assassination, so there's a lot of parallels between Antonio's activities as Talon and the Shimadas at this point, but it's interesting that the Shimadas really don't want to work with Talon. I wonder why that was and what these reasons were. At number 2, well, Genji's cyberisation and a few details as to exactly how much Hanzo hurt Genji in their confrontation that left Genji for dead, and Hanzo thinking that his brother had died. Now, Genji and McCree have a conversation where McCree asks Genji what it's like to be a cyborg and reveals some details about this kind of thing.
What's it like, Genji? You know, as a cyborg.
Pain and agony. And what am I? Man or machine?
Then why did you agree to it?
I wanted to be able to walk again.
So we learn that Genji is in pain and agony. He's not really sure what he is, but he wanted to walk again. So the attack, the fight that he had with Hanzo, left him unable to walk, amongst other things, amongst these grievous injuries that we see the cybernetics have repaired. So it just kind of emphasises how much of a number Hanzo did on him, if indeed this was intentional by Hanzo. That fight, we still don't know how it played out in Overwatch Lore. It would be a fascinating thing to go back to. And at number 1, Reyes' condition and the timings of it.
How are you feeling, Commander?
Fine, no ill effects so far.
Let me know if that changes.
So Moira, how are you feeling? Reyes, fine, no ill effects. Moira, let me know if that changes. Now that doesn't just sound like a normal doctor-patient conversation. To me, that could perhaps be hinting at the fact that in the events of Retribution, we've already seen the events of Moira's origin trailer. We've already seen perhaps the little bit of experimental treatment or perhaps support or whatever Moira has done to Reyes that caused him to look a little bit ghostly in this image that we saw. That could certainly explain why, for example, Reaper, or Reyes as he is at this point, has his abilities during this mission. And there's a final funny little joke that also kind of reflects on this at the end stage when they're passing into the restaurant for the final pickup.
Am I the only one who feels hungry?
That could be an unforeseen side effect.
I was making a joke.
An unforeseen side effect, you say, Moira, but of what exactly? What have you done to Reyes? What has happened to him? What state is he in now? So many questions, but I think those two interactions give us an idea that certainly Reyes has had something done to him by Moira at this point. What do you think of it? Do let me know in the comments below. Do throw a like or subscribe, comment below, let me know your favourites, what you think that these mean for just sort of the interactions between characters and the flavour. I think there's so much cool lore from all of these lines, and there are probably still some I haven't heard. Maybe you've heard them. Let me know what you've heard in the voice lines below as well. Now, I'm going to be getting them all together and putting one big interactions video together, but in the meantime, I wanted to bring you these top 10. Cheers for tuning in. I've got plenty more Retribution videos, including interviews and similar from my trip to Irvine, where I got to go to Blizzard HQ and have a look at this event before it released. And if you like Overwatch lore, story, this kind of thing, interactions and voice lines, check out my playlist here. Also, big thanks to my patrons who support me on Patreon. Without them, I wouldn't make the videos that I do. If you'd like to see how you can support the channel from just $1 a month and get some rewards as well, then check out patreon.com/Hammeh. Cheers for tuning in. I've been Hammeh. Take it easy.